everyone. Welcome back. Happy Friday. It is the weekend. How was your week? I hope it was fantastic. Mine certainly was. We are continuing the reading of the book, Thought Vibration by William Walker Atkinson. We are on chapter 10, continuing together, so let's dive in. Chapter 10, Training the Habit Mind. Professor William James, the well-known teacher of and writer upon psychology, very truly says, the great thing in all education is to make our nervous system, I remember reading this, the great thing in all education is to make our nervous system our ally instead of our enemy. Hello, this was written over 100 years ago, and William James, often known as the godfather of all psychology, William James, he's saying the great thing in all education, so the best thing we can do is to make our nervous system our ally instead of our enemy. So as a therapist, of course, I talk a lot about the importance of regulating your nervous system. Your central nervous system is that gauge that lets your body know if you are safe, if you need to be on alert. Some of you, you might be familiar with the term, the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic nervous system. So when we feel our body feels like it's in threat, whether it be something out here, somebody coming at us with a gun, somebody being really aggressive on the road rage, just a threat out here. It's just like, oh my gosh, like your heart starts beating. You get into this fight, flight, or freeze. So you want to like attack back. You want to flee and like run the other way for your life to save your life, or you freeze like, and you can't talk, right? And you're just like stunned. Our body goes into that. But not only for like outside threats, but internal threats. Like we can just think, that's the power of our imagination. We can think about a situation of us getting robbed or arguing with somebody or worrying about the future or we're going to fail. It's like, and we can work up the same fight, flight, or freeze. Our nervous system it's on fire. Let's just put it that way. That's when we like have issues breathing, of course, anxiety kicks in, all sorts of things. And your own body. So when you are not calm, you're not in a rest and digest state. You're in an activated state, like tense, holding your breath, bracing for the hit. Or you are, the other way is like hyperventilating, right? When you're having a panic attack. So when our nervous system is our enemy, to be honest, I've certainly been there, okay? It's how do we regulate it? And I put some posts out, earlier this week because I had this memory come up of a couple of years ago of when I was trying to get things done. I was trying to film some content for a project I was doing. And I was like getting ready and I was trying to film some of this like B-roll content. And I had the camera there ready and I was like trying to do something and I was like, I can't, like I was having a full-blown anxiety attack. And so I just started talking about my anxiety attack and I made it a reel. This was a couple years ago, but it came along my feed. So I reposted it. And then I said, I used to beat myself up for having panic, for, my nervous system being out of total whack. But what I realized is, why do I always feel threatened? Why do I always feel like I'm going to war? It's because I am with myself, with my old self. I am fighting old thought patterns, limiting beliefs, narratives that are not true to who I truly am. So I really am at war. It's different for everybody. It's different for everybody. So some people were raised with really positive thought programming and their battle isn't as tough as other people. Life isn't fair. They might have battles in other areas. But for me, I had fallen into this programming and I was raised and surrounded for sure. It was not very, like be a risk taker, go out and do the scary thing. It was very much the opposite. Like be safe, don't be an idiot, get a 9-to-5, 401k, make sure you get good health insurance. But I didn't want to do that. So by doing the opposite, my body is in full threat because I'm going off script. So I say all that to say, I do not care that I still experience anxiety at times. I know how to deal with it, but I know I do because I'm always going after something greater. I'm always expanding, getting out of my comfort zone. When you're out of your comfort zone, your nervous system is not going to be peaceful and calm. So some people might see that as a weakness, but I'd be like, show me what you're doing. Show me what you're doing. Show me the scary thing you're doing, not out of your comfort zone or not in your comfort zone, outside of your wheelhouse. Probably nothing. You're sitting here judging everybody online, right? Or judging everybody and just sitting in your pure comfort zone, silently, miserably hating your life and wishing you could do what other people do, right? So that was just a little TED talk. But because I used to do the same until, like, why are they so mad? Why are they so triggered and activated? It's because they're living their life. Like, they're growing and getting out of their comfort zone. That's why. And now I get it firsthand. So that was a long side tangent of this idea that William James, the great thing in all education is to make our nervous system our ally instead of our enemy. For this, we must make automatic and habitual. We must make automatic and habitual as early as possible as many useful actions as we can, and as carefully guard against growing into ways that are likely to be disadvantageous. What he's saying is, let's make our behaviors and our thoughts automatic and habitual as early as possible in our favor. So what thoughts cause you to be dysregulated? Make sure you do not allow those. Of course, thoughts will come that aren't lovely, but how are you going to get lost in them and spiral? Or are you going to recognize them, acknowledge them, and then choose a higher thought to the best of your ability? Habits. What habits are you doing? Are you taking walks? Are you getting regular exercise? Are you breathing? Are you eating healthy, nutritious food? Are you getting enough sleep? Do this immediately to help yourself, help your nervous system, help your body to regulate. That's not what he's saying, but that's how I'm interpreting it. In the acquisition of a new habit or the leaving off of an old one, we must take care to launch ourselves with a strong and decided initiative as possible, with as strong and decided initiative as possible. Never suffer an exception to occur until the new habit is securely rooted in your life. Okay. So what he's saying is, in the acquisition of a new habit, like, so as you're developing this new habit, acquiring this new habit, and getting rid of old ones, take care to go all in with decision and strong initiative. Go all into it as much as you can. Don't fall into the exception. For example, if you are trying to eat healthier, go all in, be as healthy as you can. Don't on the second day before the habit is securely rooted of eating healthy say, oh, just one little exception, I'll have a little cookie. He's saying don't F around in the beginning until your habit is securely rooted. You know, how many times do we do that? We want to go on like a health binge, and then the second night in, we're like, oh, well, I've been really good, I can have a little bit. It's like, this is not to, never have anything good. It's like, get the healthy habit, do it for 30 days, and then you can have a cheat day, maybe. That's what he's saying. Get your new habit securely rooted first before you start making exceptions to your new rules and your new habits. Seize the very first possible opportunity to act on every resolution you make and on every emotional prompting you may experience in the direction of the habits you aspire to gain. This advice is along the lines familiar to all students of mental science, but it states the matter more plainly than the majority of us have done. It impresses upon us the importance of passing on to the subconscious mind the proper impulses so that they will become automatic and second nature. I love, there is a saying, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Raymond Hollywell or another writer or another teacher that said, habit is God's way of making good automatic. Habit is God's way of making good automatic, if it's a good habit, that's for sure. Our subconscious mentally is a great storehouse for all sorts of suggestions from ourselves and others. So your subconscious mind is a great storehouse. Let's see if I could get I don't have my drawings out. Your subconscious mind is fertile soil, and fertile soil is just prime for the seeds to drop in, as we do know. Okay, where's my... It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. Ooh, I'm going to start recording on my podcast again. Thank you so much. The first and only episode I did was 7 months ago. I sure to make that a habit, did I? No, I didn't. All right. Let me see. Okay. You can see this, right? All right. So what he's saying is our subconscious, that's what SC stands for. If this is your first time seeing it, this top circle represents your mind. This is, of course, well, this whole thing represents your mind. It's just an image to work with, because there's no such thing as an image for the mind, because it's pure energy. And we can't x-ray the mind. We can x-ray the brain, or we can have pictures, images of the brain. But the brain is not the mind. We're working with the mind. So what he's saying is the mind, we have our conscious thinking part, and we have our subconscious feeling. This is only 5%. This is 95%. All week long when I was talking to people and working with people, we were talking about the limiting negative beliefs. And of course, that's what I do. I work with people to help unblock and get over these and rewire their limiting beliefs in their subconscious mind that makes them feel like doo-doo. And we were saying, like, why are we shocked that we can think we want something? We know exactly what we want, but it's in our conscious thinking mind. We're entertaining it, but we cannot get emotionally involved with it. We're not believing it. It doesn't match with any of our current beliefs or our past narratives or stories. And I came up with this image, and I said, think about your conscious mind is 5 people on one side of a tug of war, and your subconscious mind is 95 people on the other side of the tug of war. Who's going to win? The subconscious, every day, all day, and twice on Sundays. Okay. This is what we need to work with. This is only 5%. This is Captain Obvious. The subconscious is below conscious awareness. We are not aware of what is going on. We have to go in and do the work. And it's not hard. You can do it. It's tapping into your emotions. That is what's going on in your subconscious mind, by the way. So the subconscious mind, he says, and just to finish this mind model, we think, we feel, we act, we get results. This is like classic cognitive behavioral therapy. So we think in our conscious mind, we feel in our subconscious mind, but depending on how we feel, will determine the way we act. The way we act will determine our results. So if you don't like your results, reverse engineer it. What are we thinking? And then these antennae represent our 5 physical senses: see, hear, smell, taste, touch. That's how we take in the physical world, and that can affect our thoughts. Just like he said that the subconscious mind is a great storehouse for all sorts of suggestions from ourself, from our own conscious thinking mind, or others from the outside world. And as it is the habit mind, this right here is our habit mind, we must be careful to send it the proper material or the proper seeds from which it may make habits. So this is where your habits live. This is where all of your programming, your rule book, your paradigms, this is what creates your life. That's why if you did not see any of the playlists of the Elsie Lincoln Benedict's book, How to Get Anything You Want, Chapter 1, your predominant moods make your life. Your predominant moods or feelings will make every result in your life. Not the fleeting. I talked about that earlier today too. Not when we're feeling moments of funkiness or moodiness or somebody, cut us off on the freeway. Oh my gosh, I can't be mad at somebody because I'm going to attract that. No, it's what is your predominant? What are you giving energy, attention, and focus to day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade? That creates your life. And we should know that. It's like, why are we so afraid of having a funky week, thinking it's going to attract bad things? But we never question, but why do we argue with, or why are we shocked when we don't have our manifestation pop up after a week? When we have, only been giving it energy, attention, and focus for a week? It doesn't work either way. And let me just preface this. Anything can happen. Miracles can happen. But usually, like Abraham Hicks says, we have already put a lot of momentum into the vortex. even if you weren't consciously aware of it. There was a deep desire that you've been getting really powerfully emotionally involved with that caused the result to happen. Now, as you get better at it, it takes less work. You just know exactly how to get emotionally involved and truly believe it because there's no blocks anymore. So what I was trying to say is when we have a funky moment and just one thought, it might drop down here, we get emotionally involved with it. But it's like not, if it's not thought after thought after thought after thought after thought, which how many, we have over 60,000 thoughts and 90% are repetitive, 80% are negative. That's what creates our life. But just having, an off day or even an off week, don't be afraid. Or like a depressive, like a tragedy, like a family member passing, a heartbreak, getting laid off. Just pay attention to your thoughts when you're going through those extreme emotions. It's uncomfortable, but that's life. We can't deny it. We can't bypass that. That's not what we're about. We're here to embrace and acknowledge all the emotions, but more importantly, how are we thinking about it? Because that will determine how quickly we get out of it or how deeper we sink into it. So a week of having funkiness will not create monstrous results in your life. A week of thinking you want to be a millionaire and go make you a millionaire if you haven't been really adding to that momentum. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So don't be shocked. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, I've been doing all my manifestations and my, affirmations. You might have, but how many weeds are down here that are strangling and canceling out, nullifying your positive, I could go on about that, but I hope you understood kind of the metaphor I was trying to say. You can manifest and you can attract beautiful things even when you feel funky for temporarily, right? But if it's a long period of time, we know people who have unfortunately been programmed and trained, and that's just their MO. And yeah, it takes more work. Again, life isn't fair. Some people have been through abuse, physical, mental, emotional, sexual abuse, and it's going to take work to rewire, but you can do it. If you're willing and you want to, you can do it. And you don't have to. Nobody has to forgive their perpetrator. Nobody has to forgive anybody that's wronged them. But there are consequences to that. And if you're okay with living with those, who is anybody to judge? But there's always an option. I'm actually going to make a post responding to somebody who had that question. I had did a post about, when we hate people, it's really not the person that's pissing us off. It's our thoughts about them. And somebody wrote, would that apply to people who have abused me? And I haven't responded yet. I'm going to respond with a video. But yes, it can. And it's not easy. And so you have to kind of delicately work with that. But I think I can explain it in a way through a therapeutic lens that will make sense. But it ain't easy, but it's possible if you're willing. But you have to be willing. Alrighty. So the subconscious mind is the habit mind. Be careful of what you let in it. If we get into the habit of doing certain things, we may be sure that the subconscious mentality will make it easier for us to do it, just the same thing over and over again, easier each time, until finally we are firmly bound with the ropes and chains of the habit and find it more or less difficult, sometimes almost impossible, to free ourselves from the hateful thing. Okay, that's if it's negative. If we get into the habit of doing certain things, you can be sure, if we get into the habit doing it over and over and over, the subconscious mind will make it easy for us to do the same thing over and over, easier each time, until we're so firm with it. It's chained. And I remember when I was learning how to drive manual, stick shift, it took all of my energy, attention, and focus. Like, how many times did I stall, right? But over and over and over, I picked it up and I got it. And I was so good at it, I could like eat a sandwich and talk to my friends while I'm doing it, So much so, I remember I think we were in Ireland, and I had to drive on the opposite side of the road using the opposite stick shift at night with like a 12-person van. That is how well my subconscious remembered not only how to drive stick shift, but could adapt it to the opposite side of the road and my body and did it safely. That is the power. That's a good habit of the subconscious mind. It's like muscle memory. That's exactly what it's like. It's like muscle memory. But if it is like alcohol, like I've shared before, it's the habit of going out and having fun with your friends, always getting the drinks. And it's a habit. It's a habit. And then it turns into an addiction. And it's harder to stop, which thank God I am sober now. But it's like the chains of the habit. Some habits we love to be chained to. If we're good at I floss every night. I love that habit. I can't go to bed without doing it. That's a good habit. But if I'm eating a sleeve of cookies every night before to bed, I don't want that habit. That ain't good for me. I think you get the hint. So he's saying sometimes these habits, we can't even free ourselves and we start to hate ourselves. So again, it's another like if you have your toothbrush on one side of the sink or in a certain part in your cabinet and you move it, you will, I guarantee you, and I'm sure you've experienced this, you will continue to reach for it in the old spot. You're like, dang it, I put it over here. And it'll take a while for it to set in and properly lock in and get chained into your subconscious mind. So this is just really about the power of habits, hence the title. We must be on guard at all times to prevent the forming of undesirable habits. You know what? I remember when I first started to be on social media, I was like, because I've only had like social media for the last 5 years. And when it's 2020, and when did social media like Facebook and MySpace, like 2003? I really held out, but I wanted to create content. So obviously I had to get an account. But I knew that you can get into bad habits of scrolling, especially before bed. And I'm pretty good at that, although I have fallen prey a couple times. And I'm like, actually, no, not at night, but Netflix. I know that when you're into like a series and you like Netflix binge, I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. This is ridiculous. And so I said, this is going to be a habit. Like, I got to cut this out. I know myself. If it's not something I'm willing to do for the rest of my life and suffer the consequences of the side effects or experience the side effects, it's a no. And so I think that's why, like, I'm convinced I died of a drug overdose in a past life. I don't do drugs. I have never. But like, you know, when people like do cocaine or whatever, or heroin, I know how addicting that is. And I know my predispositions and my history and my, gene profile. I would be frightened of how quickly I could get addicted to that, I mean, hello, alcohol. But I was too young. I was so young. I started drinking when I was 14. I didn't know about habits, but it had chained itself so strongly that after 2 decades, ding dong, it's a problem. That's a bad habit. So it's not easy to be an adult and to know we have to be our own parents, So he's saying we must be on guard at all times to prevent the forming of undesirable habits. There may be no special harm in doing a certain thing today, or perhaps again tomorrow, but there may be much harm in setting up the habit of doing that particular thing. Yeah, the habit permanently. Or like ordering, I have a lot of people who like Uber Eats or, what is it? Uber Eats or DoorDash. I already know where that would go because I would get addicted and I would want to make it a habit of having food delivered to my door. Right now, that is not in the budge. When it is, fantastic. But I have priorities. Things like that. Just know yourself. They're different for everyone. If you are confronted with the question, which of these 2 things should I do? The best answer is, I will do that which I would like to become a habit with me. Perfect. In forming a new habit or in breaking an old one, we should throw ourselves into the task with as much enthusiasm as possible. He said that earlier. Throw yourself into it. Like, just Make an energetic decision and just go all in. Tell everybody about it. That's what I do. Remember when I was running for like 90 days in a row? I don't know if I shared it on here, but I shared it on like my stories on Instagram. I wanted to run for 90 days. Like I had a goal and I wanted to make it a daily habit for those 90 days. So I held myself accountable. I posted it on the social medias because I knew, I don't know who was watching. It didn't matter. I knew that somebody could be watching. Let's just put it that way. So I put myself on the hook, so to speak. So when we form a new habit, go all in, give it as much enthusiasm as possible in order to gain the most ground before the energy expends itself when it meets with friction from the opposing habits already formed. Yeah, just know when you start a new habit, the old ways or the resistance is going to pull you back. It takes effort. There's like this, what's it called when you hire someone and they have like a probation period? Your habits, I know there's so many studies, 21 days, 30 days, 60 days to a new habit, like just 90 days. Just like make it long. What's the point? If it's going to be a habit, who cares if it takes 100 days, you know? But I'm in probation. My ass is in probation for 90 days if I'm trying to start a habit. I can't be doing exceptions to the rule of the new habit I'm trying to make. Go all in, because when the excitement wears off, you're going to need that momentum to keep you going when resistance comes in, opposing forces, temptations come in. We should start in by making as strong an impression as possible upon the subconscious mentality. Yeah. And that's what takes like a paradigm shift. How we talk about, so to shift a paradigm takes one of two ways. Bob Proctor always used to teach this. You can change your paradigm in two ways. One, through a emotional impact, which he's kind of saying here, make it big, like go all in to like, I'm changing something. You know, when you radically wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm changing everything. And like you cut your hair and you dye it and you throw out all your old clothes, like boom, you make a big change. Or the second way to change it is through constant spaced repetition, repeating a habit. That's how most of us create habits, just repeating the habit, being consistent. So he's saying this, start by making the strongest impression possible upon the subconscious. Then we should be constantly on guard against temptations to break the new resolution. Just this once. I can cheat just this once. Said, you know, famous last words to like a diet going out the window or anything going out the window, you know, letting yourself down. And that's when you don't follow through with discipline. Discipline is giving yourself a command and following it. When you continue to let yourself down and not follow through on your own word, that erodes your self-esteem. It erodes your confidence. So a lot of people say, how can I gain confidence? Do what you're going to say. Follow through on what you promised yourself. Stop breaking your promises. Would you trust someone that kept breaking their promises? No, you would tell everyone what a narcissist they are. But who's the biggest narcissist? We are to ourselves. Seriously. We break promises to ourselves all the time and then we blame everybody else when they do it. We're the worst perpetrator to ourselves. If we're lacking confidence, lacking self-esteem, and feeling like doo-doo, and we blame other people for making us feel that way, like we're doing it to ourselves first, or other people couldn't do it. Like when somebody really respects themselves and they're confident and secure, it's harder to rattle them, you know? Let's be firm in who we are. Do not let yourself down. So he's saying, don't give in to temptations, and just this once. The just once idea kills off more good resolutions than any other one cause. The moment you yield just this once, you introduce the thin edge of the wedge that will, in the end, split your resolution into pieces. Side note, if you're trying to change yourself and you are surrounded by people who aren't changing themselves, but they support you. They might support you in the beginning, and then they might be like, oh, are you still doing that? And start to plant seeds of doubt. Well, come on, you can just have one cookie. It's like, get that out of my face. That is sabotage. Like, that is insidious sabotage. Hater behavior, okay? Hater behavior, my friends. We see it all the time. frenemies. It's like the crab. You're in the pot of crabs with all your friends and you say, I'm gonna do this. They're like, woohoo, woohoo. You're climbing up, you're almost over. They're like, where do you think you're going? And they pull you back down. It's like with the temptation, like the cookie, hey, just this one cookie, I promise, just this one cookie. And then you're screwed. You're back in the pot. And then you got to work your way out again, right? I know everybody who's listening has experienced something like that. And I used to be so naive. Like, I was so naive. Oh my God. I thought everyone was so nice and so considerate. And they're not. They're not. And the ways, like in hindsight 2020, always 2020, like the things people would say or like, because they're uncomfortable, they feel threatened or, threatened that they're going to lose me, right? It's through love too. Family does this all the time. I think you know what I'm putting down, but like boundaries, be vigilant, be very careful with who you're surrounding yourself with. Friends, acquaintances, coworkers. Do not let anybody get in your business. That's why, privacy is peace. Some people say like, tell everybody your dreams to get it out. It's like, I think it's a case by case basis. Don't throw your pearls to swine. Okay. Don't throw your pearls to swine. Don't tell people your precious dreams. They'll crush them because they ain't got none of their own. All right, we're on the last paragraph. Equally important is the fact that each time you resist temptation, the stronger does your resolution become. And then you'll just feel better about yourself. You'll be proud of yourself. You will gain esteem with yourself, self-esteem. You will gain confidence and trust. Act upon your resolution as early and as often as possible. As with every manifestation of thought in action, the stronger does it become. You are adding to the strength of your original resolution every time you back it up with action. The mind has been likened to a piece of paper that has been folded. Ever afterwards, it has a tendency to fold in that same crease. Unless we make a few new creases or fold, then it will follow the last lines. That's the truth. When you fold a piece of paper in a certain way, it's going to fold automatically that way when the wind blows it or whatever. He's saying, unless you make new creases and folds, it's going to keep going to the last one. You know what it is? It's like neuroplasticity. Like your brain carves pathways. And usually our neural pathways are carved by other people when we're younger. So when our brain is our subconscious mind is open for programming, your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, school teachers, religious environments, beliefs, political, city, country, language, they are making your pathways. And unless you change them, that's how it's going to be. If you grew up in a fantastic place and you're, a child of Tony Robbins, fantastic. You don't have to rewire, but it's very rare. So this is the same with a piece of paper. Like your mind is a piece of paper. Your mind is malleable. Your mind is like the Grand Canyon. And every thought is like a waterway. It's like you're carving great pathways, great riverways in your mind. And every time you have a thought, it's going to go down that same pathway. And if it's a good one, fantastic. If it's not, that ain't fantastic. You need to build a new one. And that's what he's saying. So unless we build new ones, we're going to go down the same one. And the creases are habits. Every time we make one, it is so much easier for the mind to fold along the same crease afterward. Let us make our mental creases in the right direction. What a fantastic chapter. That was chapter 10 of Thought Vibration by William Walker Atkinson. And that was entitled Training the Habit Mind. Training the Habit Mind. If you missed any of the previous readings, they're all in the playlist under Thought Vibration, William Walker Atkinson, on the YouTubes. So wherever you're watching this, hop on over to YouTube. We have a fantastic community. And there are a lot of other playlists, like the book I mentioned before, How to Get Anything You Want by Elsie Lincoln Benedict. All the playlists are there. I got a lot of different playlists. And we are trucking along with this. We will continue with chapter 11, The Psychology of Emotion. Ooh, that's going to be good. I love you all. Thank you all for your comments. I appreciate all of your takeaways, your shares, your comments. I love YouTube. I love YouTube. I love you, Tube. I love you too. But if you're seeing this anywhere else, hop on over to YouTube and follow us along the journey. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things. I'm going to try to do some podcasts, which I think is available on the YouTubes. But I love just having the mic without, I'm such a visual person that just having the voice, it's going to be fun. We'll see what unfolds there. But as always, thank you so much. We'll continue.